Great. That's 12 o'clock. I think we should make a start. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our Wellbeing Talk at the Electrical Industries Charity. We're joined by Steve from Andy's Man Club, who's going to talk to us a little bit about suicide awareness and the work that Andy's Man Club do. The presentation will probably be about 45 minutes. There'll be some time at the end for questions. If you have any questions or any comments, pop them in the chat, and my colleague Charlene will be keeping an eye on that for us. But without further ado, I'll hand you over to Steve. Afternoon, Steve.
Thanks a lot, Ezra. Thanks for the introduction there, and thank you everybody for coming along to the presentation today. As Ezra said, yeah, I work for Andy's Man Club. The presentation will go through kind of who we are, what we do, how we were founded, and yeah, just kind of what happens with Andy's Man Club. Just to say that Andy's Man Club is officially we are a suicide prevention charity, and we do that by holding peer-to-peer support groups. So obviously talking about suicide awareness, suicide prevention, there is a lot of discussion about that within the presentation in terms of statistics. There's some videos that touch on that subject quite heavily as well. So we always just like to say at the start of the presentation, if at any time you feel you need to take a moment, step away, anything like that at all, please feel free to do so. Obviously, the most important thing is that we all look after our own mental health. But yeah, without further ado, I'll get started and I'll just share my screen now. The Andy of Andy's Man Club is Andrew Roberts, born in 1992, died in 2016, the age of 23, and yeah, he's the inspiration behind Andy's Man Club. The saying at the bottom there, "Once a devil, always a devil," is something coined by his mum, Elaine, and we always like to give her the first kind of part of the presentation to talk about Andy and who he was and why the charity is called Andy's Man Club.
He were a cheeky chappy, typical lad's lad, tough as nails, but I think probably had a soft centre. Andrew died early hours of the Tuesday, 5th of April, and the weekend prior to that he'd had an enormous falling out with his partner, and I just think he got himself into a really dark place that he couldn't get out of. And that's the sad thing. We just think if he talked to anybody to have snapped him out of it, told him what he were thinking were rubbish, he would still have been here today.
It's I think it's a common theme what Elaine talked about there. Oftentimes people who are struggling mentally, struggling on the inside, a lot of times they don't speak about it for whatever reason that might be. If you're happy to do so, please feel free to kind of use the raise a hand in the chat there if that's ever been yourself, where you've been going through a tough time and you haven't reached out to anybody and you've kept it all to yourself. Please feel free to raise your hand if you're happy to share that with everyone. I know that I'm certainly one of those people, similar to Andy, that did that and still do that from time to time. And Andy's not on his own at all in any way, unfortunately, extremely unfortunately. As we currently stand at the moment, suicide is the biggest killer of men under the age of 54 here in the UK. Over 4,900 men take their own lives every year in the UK. And that's 12 men every day, or 1 man every 2 hours. Just think about your working day. I know a lot of you might maybe work kind of shift work or anything like that at all, but just take it from a standard working day, 8, 9, 10 hours. So if you work 8 hours a day, from the moment you start work to the moment that you finish work, potentially 4 men have died by suicide within that time. Take it to your weekends, what you do at the weekends, whether that be go to the cinema, go to a football match, go to a rugby match, go shopping, whatever it might be. Spend a couple of hours outside of the house. 2 hours, 4 hours, potentially 1 or 2 men have died by suicide within that time. The Samaritans have come up with this statistic through studies that they've done. Each suicide, every one suicide, affects around 135 people. So that's over 500,000 people every year who are affected by male suicide. 4,900 male suicides each year. That affects over 500,000 people every year. Something that I kind of repeat during this presentation is the ripple effect. Think of dropping a pebble or a stone into a pond and the ripples that go outwards. There's no more poignant display of that than this statistic. Following Andrew's suicide, Luke, who's Andy's brother-in-law, decided to start a coffee club for men to be able to come and talk to other like-minded men before emotions got out of control. And that's kind of what we talk about with suicide prevention at Andy's Man Club. We want to try and reach those guys who are struggling, who've got things going on inside that they just can't quite bring themselves to talk to someone else about. We want to be able to open a non-judgmental, confidential space, a safe space where guys can come along and talk about what's going on in their lives, get things off their chest before potentially they get to the point where they want to make a permanent decision to a potentially temporary situation. On the 30th of June 2016, the first Andy's Man Club post was put on Facebook, and due to the response, the very first group was held on the 4th of July 2016. 9 men attended, and Andy's Man Club was born on that day. 2 weeks after that first session, in July 2016, Luke, as you can see from the photo there, came up with the It's Okay to Talk campaign, which is basically the selfie of himself doing the universal symbol for OK, and putting it out there on social media, tagging in Andy's Man Club and using the hashtag It's Okay to Talk. The It's Okay to Talk campaign has been recognized as the biggest mental health campaign on the planet, with over 100 million taking part, including some Hollywood stars and professional sports people. We do say Hollywood stars. Anyone who's maybe watched the last time that Ricky Gervais hosted the Golden Globes in Hollywood probably knows that he's probably not welcome in that part of the world anymore these days. But yeah, Ricky Gervais was one of our very first big supporters, and shared the It's Okay to Talk campaign to his millions of followers on social media, which gained a really incredible response. Likewise, we've had people from the world of sport do exactly the same thing. People such as, people like local rugby league players on the end there, playing for the Leeds Rhinos, kind of national boxing figures like Josh Warrington in the middle there, along to Anthony Joshua, a kind of worldwide known sporting figure. Guys like this, any kind of sports person, they've trained from a young age to obviously get to the pinnacle of their sport. They've trained physically, but they've also trained mentally. You think of things like boxing, you think of things like rugby, and that kind of mental toughness that you need to be able to do that, to be able to not show weakness, to be able to not show to an opponent that you're hurt in any way, to kind of keep, a blank face, not to let emotions get into what you're doing. These people have been trained from a young age to be able to do that. So for people such as this who've gained amazing success within those fields, to be able to come out and say, it's okay to talk, it's okay to be emotional, it's okay to talk about your emotions, dare we say it's okay for men to cry, can be a really, really big thing for people. Very inspirational, especially for younger generations coming through as well. At Andy's Man Club, we try to make it as simple as possible for people to come along. So basically what we do is we hold peer-to-peer support groups from 7 p.m. To a maximum of 9 p.m. every Monday except bank holidays, and we hold those at groups across the country. To make it as easy as possible for people to come along, there's no need to book. You don't need to call ahead. You don't need to be referred. there's no need to do anything like that. Literally, you can just come along on a Monday night, even if you make that decision at say 6:45 on that night. There's no charges. You don't have to pay for anything. There's no charge to come along. There's no donation pots. There's no kitty to pay into for the teas and coffees that we put on at all. No, you don't have to make any expense at all. And there's also no referral necessary. We come along and we do presentations like this to make people aware of Andy's Man Club. We have good relationships with social prescribers and GP practices and different health organizations in areas, so that people are aware of us and can mention to people that who they feel might benefit from coming along about us. But by all means, you don't need to have been referred to us to come along, as long as you know where your local Andy's Man Club group is, and that it's every Monday at 7 o'clock. And you're a man aged 18 plus, you can come along. We're open to any man over 18 wanting to talk to other like-minded men. Simple as possible. Those are the only provisos to come along to Andy's Man Club. We run every Monday at 7 p.m. except bank holidays, and we run to a maximum of 9 p.m. Currently, as it stands, we have over 300 groups across England, Scotland, and Wales, and that number is increasing kind of all the time. As it stands, we have over 5,800 men who use our groups every week. That can be a little bit of a double-edged sword to talk about the number of guys that come along. On one hand, it's really positive to show that people are finding out about the charity. People are finding the wanting to come along, wanting to talk, wanting to open up. That's really positive stuff. But on the other hand, it's heartbreaking to think that there's that many people who are struggling, and we also know that number is the tip of the iceberg. We know we're not reaching absolutely everybody. So it is a little bit of a two-way thing, but we think it's always positive to kind of show those numbers that do come along. So what to expect when you come along to Andy's Man Club? That's the kind of the basics and kind of the kind of headline things of Andy's Man Club. But what happens when you actually get to the group on a Monday night? The first thing you'll find is that if you go to the Andy's Man Club website, andysmanclub.co.uk, you'll find on there a list of all of the groups that we have open here in the UK, and you just need to type in your city or your postcode, and it will come up with your nearest group. When you go along to the group, they're usually open. We usually have people there from say around about 6:30 on a Monday evening. So you can go along anytime from 6:30, and you'll be greeted very, very warmly at the front of the building, at the front of the venue, by 2 or 3 Andy's Man Club volunteers dressed in Andy's Man Club t-shirts, ready to welcome you in. From that point, you'll go through into the venue, and you'll be shown to the tea and coffee area, where you can help yourself to teas, coffees, biscuits, squashes, whatever you'd like at the time. At that point, there'll be other facilitators there who you can have a chat with. Maybe if you've got any questions about how the night's going to run or anything like that at all, you can feel free to speak to anybody. Or if you'd prefer to keep yourself to yourself and just kind of wait till the group starts, that's absolutely fine as well. There's no pressure whatsoever. Around about 5 to 7, you'll go into a smaller group. So say, for example, if we have 30 guys coming along to a group one night, we'll split those into 2 smaller groups of 15, or maybe 3 smaller groups of 10, and you'll go into a room, circle of chairs, take a seat down, and the lead facilitator of that evening will run through some rules for the night. Nothing too kind of too strenuous, just kind of ask everyone to just respect each other when each other's talking. Wait until someone finishes if you have you have anything that you'd like to say to them. We have a talking ball, so basically that's a sponge football. So we would say, just respect the Andy's Man Club ball. If someone's got the ball, just allow them to speak, or not to speak if that's what they want to do. And we run through a couple of things that we ask people not to talk about as well, just a couple of subjects we ask people to avoid. And then the evening starts. And what we do is how we encourage people to talk if they want to is we ask 5 questions. So the lead facilitator will ask the questions one at a time, and everyone in the group will have the opportunity to answer those. So the first question is, how's your week been? The lead facilitator will answer that question. Good, bad, indifferent, not the best. We'll talk about it more in the other questions. He'll answer that, and then he'll pass the ball on to the next person, and again, so on around the group, and everyone will have the opportunity to speak. Once again, there's no pressure to talk. So if you don't want to talk, or you're not quite ready to, you just pass the ball on to the next person. That's absolutely fine. Then when the ball comes back to the facilitator, he'll ask question 2, which is a positive from your week. So, you know, what's that kind of, even if you're in a really dark place, what's that shining light? What's that light at the end of the tunnel? What's the hope that's out there? Once again, everyone will have the opportunity to answer that question. And then question 3 is kind of the big one for the evening, which is there anything you'd like to get off your chest? So that gives everyone the opportunity to talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about. That can be, you know, from something from childhood, something from ages ago, something that's going on in your life at the moment, whatever it might be, you can get that off your chest at that time. Once everyone's had a chance to answer those 3 questions, we then take a break, 10-15 minutes or so, just to kind of, you know, people to decompress a little bit. You know, question 3 can be quite difficult to listen to at times. So yeah, just allow everyone just to take a few minutes. Then we come back in and we ask question 4 and 5. Question 4 is usually like a thought-provoking question, so something along the lines of, if you could go back 10 years and give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be? What's your happy place and why? Question 5 then is usually a bit more informal, quick fire, and sometimes can be a little bit silly as well. So for example, 2 of my favorite ones that we ask. One is, if you could ban one vegetable, what would it be? For me, that would be cauliflower every day of the week. Can't stand the stuff. Please feel free to, if anyone wants to share their answers to that question, please feel free to pop it in the chat. Or something like, who was your first celebrity crush? Once again, if anyone's happy to share that information, please feel free to put it in the chat today. Britney Spears was mine. And then that's the end of the evening. We thank everybody for coming. Hope that they took something from it. Hope it was beneficial. And hopefully they'll come along the following week. So that's how a group runs on a Monday evening at Andy's Man Club. We do also have an online group as well. So our ultimate goal at the end of the day is not to be in existence anymore. We want to get to a space where, you know, it's okay to talk, feeling like you can talk, feeling you can open up to whoever that might be, to help you is just natural. It's just what happens. Until that point, what we hope to do is have an Andy's Man Club no more than 30 minutes away from every man in the UK. But until we get to that point, for those areas where we don't have Andy's Man Club groups, or for guys who are unable to attend their local Andy's Man Club group, we have the online one. And basically all anyone needs to do is drop an email to info@andysmanclub.co.uk, and say they would like to join the most recent, the next online group. They'll be sent a brief form to fill out, and then they'll be sent the link on the Monday to join the group. The online group runs exactly the same. You're asked exactly the same questions as you would be if you were going in person. The only difference is with the online group is, unfortunately, you do have to provide your own tea, coffee, and biscuits. So I've told you about what Andy's Man Club is, and now it's the why. Why is Andy's Man Club in place? And the reason why is to stop other families going through what ours went through. That's from Luke and Elaine back in 2016. And this is one of the most, one of the most obvious, one of the most in-your-face reasons why Andy's Man Club is in existence. You know, it's so that children such as this, most of whom are children of attendees who've come along to Andy's Man Club, still have a dad, still have a granddad in their lives. One special person in this picture is here. This is Alfie, and he is Andy's nephew. And Alfie's a big part of the charity. and he recently spoke about the impact of Andy's suicide and the impact of Andy's Man Club on his life. So just play a little clip of him talking about that.
I'm here today to speak about something that changed my life, my family's life, and the lives of so many others in ways we never expected. When I was just 6 years old, I lost my uncle to suicide. Even now, 9 years later, I still remember the moment I found out. I burst into screams and tears, desperately hoping what I was being told wasn't true, and that my uncle hadn't died. It wasn't just my uncle, they were my best friends. They were like a big brother to me. Losing someone who meant that much was heartbreaking and confusing. At that age, I couldn't understand how someone so young, only 23, could be gone. Nothing made sense to me. Andy's Man Club means something different to everyone. For some, it's a place that saved the partner's life. For others, it gave them strength to speak up when they felt like they couldn't. For me, it means something deeper personal. It's about losing my uncle. Sadly, he didn't speak up. He didn't feel like he could. And because of that, he's no longer here. That's why Andy's Man Club matters so much to me. Because it's now a place where men can talk without judgment. A place that reminds us it's okay to talk. Recently, I've started seeing just how many lives Andy's Man Club is saving. I'm hoping we get to a point where we don't need it anymore, where men feel able to speak freely, and suicide is no longer something that steals people from us. I want to do my part. I want to be someone who encourages others to talk, to open up, because I don't want anyone else to go through what my family did. I will continue to do everything I can to make a difference. I miss you, Uncle Andrew. Thank you, everyone.
Alfie's only 15 years old, believe it or not, and yeah, as a 39-year-old, I wish I could speak as eloquently as he does. So that's the impact that Andy's Man Club has had on Alfie's life, on Alfie's family's life, and he mentioned there about the impact it's had on lots of other people's lives as well. And here's just some examples of yeah, the impact that going along to Andy's Man Club, the impact that talking has had on people, and some of these maybe some of you can relate to. I know I can certainly relate to some of them myself. So one such example there is that in that room, I found acceptance, brotherhood, and a version of myself I thought I'd lost. Also, AMC saved my kids from being without a dad, my wife from losing her husband, and I'll never forget that. For me, I went along to Andy's Man Club in January 2022 for the very first time. Prior to that, the end of probably maybe August, September 2020, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, which was kind of brought about by coming out of the first COVID lockdown. I really struggled. I started experiencing anxiety attacks for the first time in my life. I was at a job where I didn't have the best relationship in the world with my manager, and just the visual of an email coming through with my manager's name on, or his name appearing on my phone when it rang, could bring along an anxiety attack, as well as many other things. And I just wasn't myself at all. I didn't want to get back to kind of seeing family. I didn't want to get back to seeing my friends. I just wanted to be in my safe place at home with my wife at the time and my children. And I was getting more into myself. I was getting more insular, and I would start breaking out into sweats. I would get really tense in my body. That kind of horrible feeling in your stomach. Your stomach goes into knots. Serious fight or flight. Just breaking into tears all the time. Just really not myself, and really struggling. Having had two family members who'd gone through quite significant mental health breakdowns in years prior to that, I kind of knew that I needed to do something about it quite quickly, because I'd seen how these things can spiral very, very quickly. So I went to see my GP, and I started taking some medications. I got in touch with a counselor. I started seeing a counselor, and those things were helpful. And in that time, I found out about Andy's Man Club as well, but it being kind of still around COVID time, the groups weren't open, and going to the online group just didn't feel like it was quite for me. So it was always there in the background, but I decided to just try and get through it in the best way that I could. And for over a year, I went through periods where things were doing a bit better, but then also I went through periods where I was really struggling. I got signed off work for a few weeks at a time, a couple of months at a time. At one point, I was at points where I was kind of completely shut down. I was just in bed constantly. I wasn't showering. I wasn't looking after myself. I wasn't talking to anyone. I was under the same roof as my wife at the time and my children, but I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to speak to them. I didn't want them to see me in the condition I was in. I went through a self-harming period. I went through a period of having some really, really dark thoughts, and it kind of came to a head at one point where I was taking my son to a swimming lesson, and I was sat on the side, and he was enjoying himself in the pool, and it should be like a nice situation, really proud of what my son's doing, learning to swim and really enjoying himself, and that visual being a really positive thing. But instead, what I was doing was I was drafting up an email to send to my wife, telling her where the kind of our insurance policy was, and numbers to get in touch with pensions to kind of get some money after I wasn't here anymore. So I got to a really dark place at that point. And then a little bit of time after that, I went to Andy's Man Club for the first time, like I say, January 22. And going to Andy's Man Club, it wasn't like there was a switch flicked at all, and like all of a sudden I was better. But what I found was that I could talk, and I could talk very openly and very plainly and very directly about what was going on in my life and what I was feeling. And instead of I'm a big believer in counseling. I still see a counselor from time to time now, but instead of maybe looking into that a bit further, I basically, or speaking to friends and family and then being quite astonished or upset or not knowing what to say, I looked around and I had a sea of faces that were just kind of nodding, didn't look surprised, didn't look shocked, weren't judging me in any way. And then I'd hear people talk about their experiences and what they'd been through, some of which were very similar to what I'd gone through, to what I was feeling. So I started thinking, wow, God, okay, I'm not the only one that feels this way. I'm not this alien or this unusual person that, there isn't a big thing that's happened in my life. I haven't lost anybody. I haven't had a diagnosis or something. It's just something that can just happen to anybody. If they're not looking after themselves or whatever it might be, things can build up. So I didn't feel like I was unusual in any way. And I started to hear more of that. And then I started to hear about people who were kind of 6 months, 12 months down the line from where I was at this current point, and who'd started doing things like looking into meditation and yoga and journaling and cold water swimming and all sorts of things, looking after their diet, doing more exercise. And I started picking up on a couple of those things, and I started trying a few of those things. Some of them I didn't try. I still haven't jumped into the cold sea yet and tried to have a swim. Maybe one day. I haven't found the courage to do that just yet. But I tried some of the other things. Some of them worked. Some of them I felt were positive and I got a bit of relief from. Some of them didn't work so much, but I gave them a try anyway. And then finally I got to a point where I was able to establish 3 or 4 things that I could do on a daily and a weekly basis that were for me, that I could do. Some of them being 5 minutes, a couple of minutes each day. Some of them being, going to Andy's Man Club 2 hours every week. And they were things that became my anchors in life and my hooks in life, so that when I knew I was starting to feel down, I could do those things and I could hook onto them, and they would help me stay on a level. Likewise, when I was doing really well and I was on a high, but then I was starting to feel nervous about that because I was awaiting the inevitable drop, I still did those things every day. And they brought me back down and kept me on a level. So yeah, that's what Andy's Man Club has given to me, and it's also given me the opportunity to speak to, to listen to other people and help other people as well. And so yeah, January 2022 went along for the first time, and the summer of that year I became a facilitator, a volunteer for the charity, and now June last year, I was very, very lucky to start working for the charity as an area lead for the southwest of the country. And I'm in a place now where I have a job that I love, and I have the honor to come along and speak to people such as yourselves about something I'm very, very passionate about. So yeah, that's what Andy's Man Club has done for me, and that's my journey through the charity over the last few years. But again, don't just take my my experiences as one thing. Andy's Man Club has helped an awful lot of people over the years, and this is just a couple of stories from a couple of people who've attended Andy's Man Club as well.
Worries and anxieties a big part of my life. Started about 10 years ago. I didn't want to live anymore. I thought the world would be better off without me. I thought that maybe if I was to take my own life, I could be with my child. But I was very suicidal at the time.
As a child, it was getting bullied and not being able to say how I felt to people. To talk about the problems I went through as a child and everything that happened, I didn't want to.
My worries and anxieties started around the passing of my father in 2013. It affected me in my day-to-day life, it affected my job, it affected relationships. I didn't talk to my friends or family about my problems that were going on.
So the easiest thing for me was to not be here. It was a Sunday night, I think it was, and I knew I didn't want to be here, and I was planning that night to do something.
Thoughts going through my mind were how I'd be judged by people, real bad thoughts about, getting out of this life.
My worries and anxieties probably started a long time ago, but the most recent was last year. My cousin committed suicide. It was very hard to discuss my problems at that moment in time, as I couldn't even string a sentence together.
I felt very alone. I had a lot of people around me. I know a lot of people cared, but just something instinctively in me just wouldn't open up.
I never spoke about it with anyone. The problems have kept me in all my life.
There's a stigma attached to around how a man should appear and what he should say. There's an ideal view of a man, and I think people need to break the cycle of that and just not conform to that.
I know a lot of men that have struggled generally, especially in the UK. I think not enough men talk about the problems.
The first step towards helping myself was joining Andy's Man Club.
The only time I first spoke about my problems was when I first went to Andy's Man Club.
I first sought help through Andy's Man Club.
It's saved my life, really.
My name's Luke Campbell and I'm the founder of Andy's Man Club. I believe male mental health in our country has for a long time now been stigmatised. There's been out 3 stigmas: weakness, burden, embarrassment, and I feel that's a lot of the reason why people don't speak. They feel weak to speak, they feel like they'll burden others, and with the lad culture we have with banter, they feel like they're embarrassed to give any vulnerability away. To any man out there watching this, it's not weak to talk, it's not weak to ask for help.
Steps that I've taken to resolve my issues. I've started talking a lot more to people. The importance of talking about how you feel is phenomenal. Talking's really opened me up to people, my family, my friends. It's turned my life around. I'm happier than I have been in my entire life.
No matter what, I talk about everything now. I won't keep anything in at all.
If I were going to give any advice, it's talk to, whether it be your loved ones, professionals, your friends, and if you don't have any friends, reach out. If you are willing to reach out, people are willing to help.
Getting guys in a room and opening up and giving people hope, giving people a lifeline, that's what Andy's Man Club's all about. My advice to any man out there is that you will get through this. At times you may think that there is no other way out, that relationship breakdown, that debt you're in, or whatever issues you're struggling with, that you can't get through that, but trust me, you can. I've dealt with enough people to know now that that cloud will pass. That roller coaster on where it just seems like you're going down, down, down will take a turn and you'll get back up. You just got to look up and know that the brighter times are coming, and I guarantee, reach out, it's okay to talk.
So we've talked about what Andy's Man Club is, why Andy's Man Club is in existence, and now, yeah, we kind of go on to how people find out about Andy's Man Club, and maybe if there's anyone on this call who feel like they might want to do anything to assist in any way, how you might be able to help. So one man's journey, we try to take it from the perspective of someone, you know, kind of going through their daily life. We've had the, you know, the privilege and the benefit of working with some, you know, quite large companies who've done some amazing work for us, who've, you know, put wraps on trains and lorries and vans, and put us onto, you know, big screens in shopping centers and train stations and things like that, to really get the word out there, which is fantastic. But it's also cafes, gyms, pubs, anywhere public where people might just kind of walk past or stand for a couple of minutes and something might catch their eye. So for instance, you take someone who's traveling to work and their working day, they might be commuting, they might kind of jump onto a train, jump onto a bus, and they see an Andy's Man Club information put onto the screen on the bus or the train. When they go to get their ticket at the train station, they might see an Andy's Man Club sign on one of the screens there. You know, or if they drive, they might be driving down the road, pass a van, pass a you know, a coach, a lorry, a bus that's got Andy's Man Club information emblazoned on it. Then they get to work, they might have something like this, an Andy's Man Club awareness stand or an Andy's Man Club presentation taking place in the next month or so, and that's being advertised. They might see some of their colleagues walking around the office or wherever they might work and have Andy's Man Club wristband, an Andy's Man Club wristband on. After work, they might go to a cafe, to a gym, to the pub, go into the toilet. There's an Andy's Man Club poster on the wall in there. There's Andy's Man Club flyers and business cards on the counter of the cafe. All sorts of different ways that we can get the word out there. They might be in a pub and we've got Andy's Man Club coasters. They might see those. So many different ways that we can get the word out there about Andy's Man Club, about the note of the idea of it's okay to talk. So even if someone doesn't take the idea of going along to an Andy's Man Club group, they get the idea of it's okay to talk. They maybe get the idea of contacting, you know, a friend, a family member, of speaking to their GP, of just, you know, whatever it is, going out and speaking to somebody about what's going on. Or they might just type Andy's Man Club into their phone or into their onto their laptop and finding out a little bit more about us and coming along or referring a friend to us. So there's so many ways that, you know, we can get the message out there, and any help anybody can give to give out leaflets, posters, wristbands, you know, it'd be absolutely amazing. The world of sport's been a really what's the word I'm looking for? Been a really helpful. The world of sport's been really helpful to the charity over the years. We've worked with a lot of kind of rugby clubs, football clubs, all sorts of different places, and sports personalities who've kind of spread awareness about the charity. We have a lot of kind of, you know, different sporting venues that provide us with their spaces on a Monday night to hold our groups. So for instance, Manchester United, Manchester City, we hold groups at the Etihad Stadium in Old Trafford, and then coming all the way down to my part of the world, the Southwest, Teignmouth Rugby Club, you know, an amateur rugby club. They provide us with their space on a Monday night. Some of you who are maybe from this area of the country might recognise the accent. I'm a Plymothian, I'm a Janner, big Plymouth Argyle supporter. So I don't like to give Exeter City credit for anything, but they provide a space for us on a Monday night as well at Exeter City. So yeah, the world of sport is also a fantastic place to find out about the charity and spread awareness. I talked about wristbands earlier, and we just a little kind of something that was incredible and happened to us a few years back. One of our groups in Leeds was holding an awareness stand at a music festival that was taking place. They were handing out leaflets and posters and wristbands to people who were attending, and one of our wristbands ended up on the wrist of a producer of the soap Emmerdale. That person woke up the next morning, a little bit of a haze, saw the wristband, oh, I don't remember getting that. What's Andy's Man Club? Did a little bit of research into it, sent an email to us, and then what started off as a kind of 1 hour meeting between a couple of our members of staff and the producer from Emmerdale then turned into a whole storyline for Emmerdale, and Andy's Man Club group was featured on was featured in a few episodes of the soap. So it really is, you really do never know where giving out a wristband, giving out a leaflet, giving out a business card can go, and how beneficial it could be, because on the back of the Andy's Man Club storyline on Emmerdale, we saw a huge spike in attendances across the country. And what we also saw was from a lot of those people that came along, is they were told about it by the largest demographic of people who watch Emmerdale, women, the women in their lives, mums, partners, aunties, friends, told the men in their lives about Andy's Man Club because they'd seen it on Emmerdale. Yeah, it's probably our biggest supporters are women, and it really does go to show that, you know, that saying, behind every good man is a great woman, but behind this great charity is some amazing women indeed. And some of those are featured here. So Elaine, still very, very heavily involved in the charity, you know, does a lot of work behind the scenes to promote us, to get involved with organizations, to do awareness things. We held something called the Longest Conversation in London last week, which was live streamed on YouTube and social media. It was a 12-hour conversation between you know, different presenters and celebrities and sports personalities and kind of people involved in the charity. Elaine was heavily involved in that. That's still available to watch on our YouTube channel. So yeah, it's a really, really good watch. We have female members of staff who are heads of our events team and our admin team, and really are the backbone of the charity, and help us to do what we do. And we also have, you know, female supporters who come along to our events and spread the word. But probably the most important people are the women behind the guys who come along on a Monday night. As I said, we've got over 300 groups across the country, and I can guarantee you there's at least one man in every single group across the country who the reason they initially came was because they were encouraged to by a woman in their life, whether that be their partner or a friend. You know, they constantly were told about Andy's Man Club. They were constantly seeing Andy's Man Club business cards put in their wallet, or leaflets left on their pillow, or literally we've had cars screaming up to the entrance of Andy's Man Club venues and men being booted out into the waiting arms of the facilitators at the front of the group. So yeah, we always like to give a massive shout out to our supporters, especially the amazing women involved in that as well. As well as the amazing supporters we have, who do so much for us, we also have incredible people who take on challenges and do incredible things to raise awareness and to raise money for the charity as well. So just a couple on here that you can see. Wigan Man's incredible trek from home to the Philippines to raise awareness for Andy's Man Club, for someone who struggles to trek from his home to the local school to do a school run for my kids. That's absolutely amazing. The one just underneath that is very special to me. Tiverton man pulls 80 kilos for 80 miles to raise mental health awareness. Down here in the southwest in Tiverton, a gentleman lost a very close friend to suicide. His friend was 80 kilograms in weight. So what he decided to do was create a trolley that he could pull along with 80 kilograms of weight in it, pull it for 80 miles over a period of 8 days, and in doing so raising awareness for Andy's Man Club and other charities, and also money for his friend's family that were left behind as well. So yeah, people do absolutely incredible things that really do humble me and everyone involved in the charity every day. The charity has been lucky enough to receive various kind of awards and commendations and things, which is fantastic. You know, it really helps to you know, it opens a door for us. You know, it gives us, it legitimizes us. It allows us to speak to people and opens up doors for us to speak to different organizations and things. So that's always fantastic, and it's always nice to be, you know, to get some recognition for what you do. Especially here, the Queen's Volunteer Award, because that was specifically for our volunteers that come along on a Monday night and do incredible work, giving up their time to help us run our groups. But at the end of the day, Luke's always the first one to say that, you know, awards, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. The most important things behind Andy's Man Club are the three things that we really stand for. And those are our name, Andy's Man Club, knowing where we came from, knowing how we started, and knowing now that we have over 5,800 Andys walk through our doors every Monday. The second one is our hashtag, It's Okay to Talk, the message that we constantly put out there to not only the men that come along to our groups on a Monday night, but to every single person within society across all demographics, the idea that it's okay to talk. And then the final one is the idea of that one man. And that basically means what we try to do every Monday night is we try to find that one man. We try to find that one man who's struggling, who feels like he hasn't got anyone to speak to, who feels like he's on his own, feels like he's a burden, feels like he's unable to speak about what's going on. We want to try and find that one man, encourage him to come along to Andy's Man Club and get things off their chest to people who will listen to what they have to say. I won't play this video at the moment. We have I'll play a little bit of it actually. It's 5 minutes long, so it's a little bit on the long side. I'll play a minute or so of it. But it was done by a band who wrote a song about kind of Andy's Man Club and what we stand for. And it's kind of cut across a lot of the things that happened in 2024 for the charity and some of the amazing stuff that people did for us. So I'll just play a little bit of this one for you at this time.
So good to be back. So all the guys on this Man Club, anybody out there who's struggling? It's a struggle waking up in the morning. I'm sick of giving over my time. I'm always thinking I'm going nowhere. That's life. It's a struggle when I'm pulling a face on. I always find I'm being socially fried. I'm in trouble, but I'm optimistic. That's life. I'm taking all my negative output, sell it to anyone who'll buy. When it's impossible to find a use for my life, maybe we can go with the others. We'll never dare to go. We can fly through the crowd veil while people watch below.
Thank you very much for listening to the presentation today, yeah, just being so open to me coming in to speak to you all. It's a real pleasure to do so. Just the last couple of things. One is if anyone wants to get in touch with the charity to maybe order some wristbands or leaflets that you want to drop off to any local organizations or community things that you're involved with, please feel free to drop an email to info@andysmanclub.co.uk. Alternatively, if yourself would like to go to an Andy's Man Club group, or it struck a chord with you and it made you think of somebody that might benefit from coming along, please go to our website, andysmanclub.co.uk. On there you'll find a really helpful location finding tool where you can just pop in your postcode or location, and it will tell you where your nearest group is. And finally, just we have one saying, we have a lot of sayings at Andy's Man Club, but one of ours is, if you're going through a storm or just been through one, we can help you get through that storm and hopefully be that light at the end of the tunnel for you. So once again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for the comments, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. That was really interesting. I think we have a couple of questions in the chat. In workplaces, some people still might feel that they have to hide how they're feeling. How can we sort of intentionally create environments where we can have these sort of like difficult conversations where people are met with support and not judgment?
Yeah, sure. So I think I don't know if I'm not too sure how you guys do it at all. I don't know if you have maybe kind of mental health champions within the organization, or put people through training to do things like that. That's something that's kind of a lot of organizations do. I saw there was someone in the chat there, sorry, Stephanie, and I'm sure there's some other people who are very much kind of open to being people to speak to about anything that might be going on. You know, I think it's a good sign that, you know, the organization is putting on talks like this here. Hopefully people within the HR and managers are very much open to people coming to them with anything that might be going on in their lives, and be very open to that. And also just making people aware of different organizations and things that are out there. So I know that Charlene has put a couple of links in up to the Andy's Man Club website, but also to the Hub of Hope website, which is also an app, which is really useful. It's an app you can download onto your phone, or website you can visit. Again, put in your the name of your city or your postcode, and it will find local organizations that are around that you might be able to go along to help as well. So, but the main thing that we always say, and it really is true, is it's okay to talk. So if you find somebody that you feel you can talk to, who says to you that, you know, give me a call, come and see me, come and chat to me, take them for what they say, you know, and go along and have a chat if you feel comfortable to, whether that be someone at work, a family member, a friend, you know, a doctor, an organization such as ourselves, the Samaritans, whatever it might be. There really is, you'll be surprised that if you are struggling and you do want to reach out, you'll be pleasantly surprised how many people are actually out there that do want to listen and do want to help.
Yeah, definitely. And sort of on the back of that, how, if you think someone is struggling, if you like, you know, somebody in your friendship group or somebody at work is struggling, how would you sort of suggest bringing up that conversation? Obviously you can't go out all guns blazing, but...
No, of course, and obviously it's different for everybody, and again, I'm just talking more from myself here than the charity. We don't kind of give advice and stuff, but from myself and my experience and what other people have kind of said is that today, for an example, so if the presentation today has made you think of someone, a family member or a friend who maybe you haven't heard from for a while, or maybe hasn't seemed at their best, or you've thought about dropping a message to, maybe just send that message and just be like, hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Join me up soon. How's everything going? Potentially they might come back to you and say, yeah, everything's fine, not too bad, speak to you soon. Send them another message back. Are you sure you're okay? Are you sure everything's all right? Do you want to go for a little chat? You know, I'm here to listen if that's what you want to do. You know, it really is just checking in on people is really powerful. You know, it's very simple thing to do. And again, a lot of people do keep it to themselves when they're struggling. I know I still do, even though this is what I do for a living. I tell people it's okay to talk, or encourage people to say it's okay to talk, and I am getting better at it. But sometimes if I am really struggling, yeah, I don't want to burden people. So it's a hard thing to do sometimes, but again, you'll be really surprised at the amount of people who are out there that do want to help.
And I think just the last one, how can we move some sort of reactive mental health support to sort of more preventative? Is it more sort of having these conversations again, or is there anything else that you'd suggest?
I think just everybody's different. So there's not, I was talking to someone about this earlier, and there's no kind of one size fits all for everybody in these type of situations. Some people find that, going to see their GP and maybe being prescribed medications and trying out medications is a good way to start if they're open to that. Some people are very much against that kind of thing. So, there's obviously counsellors that people can go and see. There's organisations such as Andy's Man Club that they can go to, which are free and are there for people to listen to. But again, that might not be the right thing for somebody, and we know that we're not for everybody. They might be quite a physical person, an active person, so they might find a dog walking group or a walking group or a running group or a walking football group or a football team or whatever it might be. Somewhere like the Hub of Hope is a really, really good start to find something like that. And I saw someone else put in there, Leanne, what about those that refuse help? Unfortunately, and I don't mean this in a harsh way in any way whatsoever, but like with anything in this world, no one can get the help they want unless they want to. So you might find somebody in your life that's just no, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Just being there for that person, having patience with that person, just keeping in touch, dropping a message once a week, constantly saying to them about things that are available, things that are out there. Eventually they might get to a point where they're like, okay, yeah, maybe I should give that a try, or maybe I should speak to that person or go and see my doctor. We can't wave a magic wand, unfortunately. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink at times. So yeah, unfortunately, all we can do is be there for people, try and help people as best we can. But again, not doing it to our own detriment as well. You have to look after yourself first before you can look after other people. That saying in planes, put your own oxygen mask on first before you help somebody else. You can't pour from an empty cup. You really do have to look after your own self first before you can help others as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, brilliant. Someone asked, and I think Stephanie asked in the chat if the Wellbeing team would be getting some wristbands. I'm not sure about whether the EIC will be, but is there anywhere we can get sort of resources from Andy's Man Club?
Yeah, certainly. So if EIC want to, or if anyone wants to individually, if you drop an email to info@andysmanclub.co.uk, then just say that you'd like some promotional materials, wristbands, business cards, leaflets, whatever it might be. They can, that our amazing staff at our head office will be able to send out a batch to you, certainly.
Amazing. Brilliant. I think that might be all of the questions that we had. Again, just thank you so much for your time, Steve. That was really interesting, and it's great work that you're doing.
No, absolutely fine. Thank you all so much for listening. I really, really appreciate it and the opportunity to come and talk to you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. I think Charlene's popped a link to our feedback form in the chat. If anyone could take a couple of seconds just to fill that one in, that'd be brilliant. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time, everybody, and thank you, Steve. Brilliant. Thanks.
Thank you.